In this video, we will introduce ourselves deep into the life and work of one of classical Hollywood's greatest actresses, the incomparable Joan Crawford. She was to many the personification of what it means to be in stardom, from its glory to its decadence. Despite a life riddled with scandal, we should not conform ourselves with the superficial narrative on Joan, since she displays one of the greatest compromises with the dramatic art, finding out ways to reinvent herself throughout 45 years in cinema, surviving and adapting to each fad. So great was Joan's love and sacrifice for the seventh art that at some point in her life, the thin line between reality and characterization was blurred, leading her eternal rival Bette Davis to claim that she was Crawford playing Crawford. So, to understand her art, let's get to know her life. Joan was born named Lucille LeSueur on the 21st of March, 1904, in San Antonio, Texas. His father, Thomas LeSueur, abandoned the family soon after she was born, so she would be raised by her mother, Anna Bell, alongside his older brother, Hal. But soon, Anna would find a new love, this time a forfeiture called Henry, and known by folk as Billy Cussing. Cussing was a master at making profits out of thin air. His main source of income were two small theaters in Lawton, Oklahoma, known as the Ramsey Opera House and the Cussing's Airdrome. The family moved to Lawton to better handle the business, and young Lucille grew believing Cussing to be his biological father. Such was his influence over her that she would go on to call herself Billy among her friends. She soon adopted Cussing's character as well, often being found wreaking havoc alongside the ruder boys in the neighborhood, and in turn, Cussing always made up excuses for her and defended her from her mother's scolding when she got into trouble. By 8 years of age, Lucille had lost interest in school and never attended class, but she had already become a professed dancer in the Hoofer style, which was a mix of ballet and tap dance. Having observed with childlike fascination the vaudeville shows in her stepfather's theaters, she organized little shows for the neighborhood boys, where she astonished them with costumes she had sewn herself. But come summer of 1930, Lucille's idyllic world came tumbling down when Cussing was accused of embezzling bail money. The whole family was forced to leave Lawton and seek refuge in the house of Anna's parents, back in Phoenix, Arizona. 3 weeks of stay later, they moved again to Kansas City, Missouri, where Cussing claimed to know some friends. But the family instead lived in a small rented room designed for a single person in the New Midland Hotel, a poorhouse in the city's red light district. Cussing made money from selling the house back at Lawton, but got meager profits. And did so just as he found out that the hotel's owners were moving away. Cussing, as addicted to entrepreneurial risk as always, couldn't let the opportunity slip away, so he decided to rent the hotel and manage it, dreaming of saving up enough to raise a theater company once again. In Kansas, Lucille originally signed up in Scarlett Elementary, but due to her lack of previous education, she had to share class with pupils 3 years younger than her. As predictable, she continued skipping class, so Cussing decided that the best way to prevent further truancy was to intern the girl in St. Agnes Academy, a prestigious Catholic school where Lucille, as suspected of her for lacking a scholarship, was made to help cleaning the school dishes, toilets, and floors after class. Yet as soon as she arrived at St. Agnes, Lucille got the news that Cussing, disillusioned before the impossibility to build back his show business emporium, had left without even parting Anna goodbye. Hal then revealed to Lucille that Billy Cussing had never been her real father, and the blow was devastating on the poor little girl. Soon after Cussing left, the whole family was evicted from the New Midland, so Anna had no choice but to move to a torn-down apartment behind the wash house, where she accepted getting paid peanuts to work as a servant. Lucille would not finish her studies in St. Agnes, but instead she relocated to Rockingham Academy, where once again she would live and work all week, only visiting home on the weekends. The 3 years he spent there seemed to have been rough. The schoolmaster seemed to make an effort to mistreat Lucille physically and psychologically in any way she could. Back home, things weren't looking any brighter. Anne had found a new boyfriend, Harry Hugh, a disgusting man who had a knack for young girls, even trying to cross the line with Lucille many a time. Anne seemed to ignore this abuse, taking refuge in the laundry work and forcing her child to assist in the task she found too bad to handle. And even though life had become hell for little Lucille, she managed to endure on, finding respite in dances, parties, and promiscuity with the young boys she met at Bud Park. And so we arrive at March 1923. Lucille was finishing her studies at Rockingham Academy, just as she turned 18 years old, and took the chance to jump into the job market as a retailer in a wholesale warehouse. The pay was $12 a month, which she burned whole in parties each night, dancing till exhaustion. Above all, she tried to flee her mother's home, so she enrolled in Stephens College, an all-girls school, shifting jobs from warehouse retailer to school canteen helper. But that hardly led Lucille to abandon a libidinous lifestyle, as she took interest in flappers, a subculture of women that had achieved a radical emancipation from societal expectations. They led by example, going out every night, dancing and insulting men without a single regret. They spent their nights indistinctly, with men and with women, and often took advantage of so-called chivalry by having their boyfriends buy expensive gifts. And so Lucille followed, attending frat parties at the University of Missouri. She was so into dancing, she got 12 trophies in just 4 months. But for reasons unknown, perhaps related to an incapacity to continue studying, she quit mid-semester and returned to live with the very mother she so despised. It wasn't long before Harry Hugh molested Lucille once again, so unable to withstand any more abuse, she fled to the house of some friends, 2 sisters who she met at the dancing in a prestigious nightclub. The mother of these 2 siblings was pious and conservative, so Lucille played smart and presented herself as a calm, decent girl by daylight, but kept her flapper lifestyle come the nighttime. To this avail, Lucille was even garnering some fame at speakeasies, where she danced back bottom and charleston over venue tables. And on a day of fortune, as Lucille attended one of Ivanhoe's clubs, well-mannered eats alongside her adoptive mother, a famous Chicago singer and producer discovered her dancing. She was Catherine Emmerich and had come to the city to set up billboards for the vaudeville tour. But seeing Lucille's prowess, she decided to offer her work as a dancer for the vaudeville at Springfield, Missouri, come February 1924. It is rumored that beyond giving her a first chance in show business, Emmerich was Lucille's first lesbian romance. So, Lucille was set on a leap of faith toward what she loved, and money was the only great obstacle in her way. Knowing that dancers' contracts at the time put the responsibility on procuring stage clothes on the performers, she stole the siblings' Sunday dresses, thinking of tailoring away modesty when the occasion demanded it. She put together money, and who knows how, perchance by leveling her female chants on the speakeasy regulars, as her critics said, for a one-way ticket to Chicago, and parted in search of Emery. Upon setting foot in Chicago, Lucille went straight to Emery's office, just to find that she had already gone on tour. Suddenly she felt trapped. In an act of desperation, she ran towards the manager's office, leaping across rows of young contenders. She wept, pleading for help, for a job to prevent her from having no place to stay. Ernest Young, the manager, took pity on her and took her home. Soon after, he offered her an 8-week trial contract. And all it was, dancing black bottom and shimmy in Chicago nightclub tables. Doing for money what she already did for fun. Or so she thought. The contract was no more than a trap, an excuse to have her be little more than a sex worker for rich businessmen. Lucille was even made pregnant by one of the customers, and had to face a risky illegal abortion. But as the luck of the draw would have it, things would start to look brighter for Lucille after a chance encounter with Jake Schubert, one of the country's most powerful magnates. Staying over to watch the release of his musical Innocent Eyes, the businessman happened to bring his team to Lucille's cabaret. According to Miss Tingett, the famous actress who starred in Innocent Eyes, Lucille came over Schubert's table and spilled a drink over his pants, and swiftly kneeled over to clean the stain, whispered, "I give good head, and they also say I am a capable dancer." The next afternoon, Lucille showed up to Schubert's office to finish what she started in the cabaret, and that very same night, she got included into the theater company heading for Philadelphia. New York followed Philadelphia, and Lucille kept dancing and working at the clubs after night shows. There, he met Harry Richmond, an influential figure in show business at the time, and just like the last time, seduced him into getting a rehearsal in front of a cinema camera. Harry Raff, a lead investor in Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, was among the judges' seats, and after rehearsing alongside other chorus women, Lucille tried to swindle him, as usual. But even after getting called up for a second rehearsal, Lucille felt that in not achieving her ends through seduction, she had failed miserably, and tragically resigned to returning to Kansas with her biological mother. The Kansas life that had been waiting for Lucille was every bit as horrible as ever. Vexed a bit more by her mother with each day passing, she also had to abort a child in surprise and desperation for a second time. But come Christmas Eve, a miraculous piece of news would change Lucille's life forever. The rehearsals had concluded, and Louis B. Mayer, another shareholder from Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, guess which one, saw her as the perfect fit for a 5-year contract. Despite the hardships, a perpetually self-reinventing Joan Crawford managed to create an astoundingly strong and varied body of work over 45 years, in a career that often mirrored both her times and the trends of the industry. Through thick and through thin, going high and going low, Crawford managed to leave a mark on film history forever. Whether or not her success was really, after time had passed, that of the little dancer, the mischievous Lucille LeSueur, with whom we have shared but a humble bit of a drone life today, is uncertain. But the way in which this icon's youth shaped such a woman's becoming into the world of spectacle is surely a tale to remember. And that is all for today's video. We hope you have enjoyed today's story. If so, you should leave a like, maybe a comment, and hit the bell after subscribing if you wish to see more of us. I'm The Beat, and this has been a futile conquest.